All right, guys, we have the Thrifty D on the lift, and check out these brakes. At one point, they worked because there is no more friction material. But now, all of the pistons are completely frozen up. I got one free, and then I was like, yeah, not happening. So what we're gonna do today is I actually bought a kit for a Fourtrax. New wheel cylinders, new shoes, new hardware kit. It comes with the new bolts, the brake lines. And you can see here, same exact radius. So I'm pretty sure I can convert this kit to work on the 350D. Because right now, we definitely have no front brakes. Brake lines are off, the brackets are off, the hub is off, and we are going to be replacing the bearings in this, so this whole assembly is going to come off now. So pretty interesting design from Honda. This is, call it your ball joint. They're just studs. There is actually no ball, and it threads top and bottom. Now I'm glad I took it apart because there really was no grease left in here. Oddly enough, your top one is a 27 millimeter, and your bottom one, I use 1 1/8, but probably a 30. They are two different sizes. And then it was a 10 millimeter right there for this to come out, and then this one is actually one piece. As you can see here, it's one machined nut. So that was a very easy thing to get out. 17 millimeter for your tie rod in, and they are not tapered, so they pop right out. I mean, this thing, 35 years old, and it came apart like butter. So now this should really just slide right off, nothing holding it on. Wow, that was the easiest tear down of a 35-year-old four-wheeler I've ever done. Let's get all this ugliness off. Looks very similar, right? It's because it's the exact same part. Now let's flip it over, and I'll show you a few small differences that are not a big deal. If you look on the back, we'll use this one as an example. It looks like our bolt pattern is exactly the same. We have a stud here instead of a nut, or a stud instead of a bolt. I'm pretty sure I can pull this out and just put a bolt back in it. And we have a breather right here, which we do not need. Goes to nothing. Yank that out with some pliers, no big deal. That's that side. This side over here, same exact thing, same detent right here. Okay. Comes with a new bleeder, thank God. And I see no issues here as well. Brake shoes, springs, we're good. Let's get it all put on. Springs are off, shoes are off. I took the bolts out, and then I realized the corrosion around this actual knuckle is so bad that it probably is not going to slip off. And I don't know, we'll see. And the only reason why I need to do that is because of this right here. You can't get this pin out, or I don't think you can, at least, because it's hitting the back of the cast iron knuckle. Maybe when I get this brake line off I can. You definitely need to get a brake line wrench for these fittings, or you will strip them out every time. Okay, 10 millimeter, very, very important, must buy. I'll actually put a link in the description for a set of these wrenches. You need them. So we'll get this line off and take these two bolts out and these two out and put the new ones in. Came out really easy. All we had to do is just knock out with a hammer, and the moment of truth is right here. Whoops. Boom. Fits like a glove. Now let's remove this stud, and we should be able to just drop this one in, pop that out, pull the breather out, drop this one in. But before we go any further, we are going to do seals and wheel bearings, because this side is dead and the other side is questionable. So I'm gonna take this off, have it down to a very easy thing to work with. Clean it really well, pull this out, and then press the new bearings in. Seals are out top and bottom, and it did require a chisel to pop those out. Now we can take our snap ring pliers, just like so. One-handed? Okay. Maybe? No? Well, obviously this requires two hands, but you get the gist. And there's your front rear seal and your bearing. Snap ring is out. You can push the bearing right up like that. Bearing's out, quick and dirty. Interesting. Now before you put the new bearing in, always put oil around here so it has a good slip. And then on the install, slow and steady. Snap rings installed, front seal, rear seal. I do put a little bit of oil on these just to make them slick. When you tap them in, you don't damage them. Now that your seals are in, front and rear, there's a gap in here. And what I like to do is pack that with some grease. When you have the grease, pull out your axle shaft. I already cleaned this. Put grease all around here. That's your seal. Look how bad it's actually worn. A little bit of a groove in here. And your splines. That way when you put it back in, everything is nice and lubricated. See the difference here? Yep. Had to use a stud. I tried to turn it with pliers and it would not come out. Any more force, I would have ruined the threads. You see right there, I actually did put a little more on them. And this pulled out with zero effort with a pair of pliers, which is your breather, which you don't need. So long story short, just pick yourself up metric coarse thread nut. This is a 13mm, slips right over it. I do not know the exact size, but pretty easy to get at any hardware store. That is what you're gonna need. Beautiful. So I cleaned the inside of the drum out, just a wire wheel. And what I'm doing now is actually doing a bench top adjustment. It's much easier to do right now. All you do is take your flathead screwdriver, just like so, adjust your shoes out. So you can see right here, I have grease all inside this assembly because when these get water in them, they freeze up and you can never adjust your brakes again. That's a very common Honda problem. Also, when you put the shoes on, you can see these have a bias to one side right here. If you put them on upside down, your hole will not line up. I slapped them on upside down with my springs already on, and I had to take the springs back off because they go underneath like so. The retaining pin right here, this clip, or this little T-top pin, I did reuse this one. Like I said before, I did not want to take the shield off of the cast iron knuckle because of the corrosion, and I would probably damage the sheet metal. So that's no big deal. They do give you these gaskets. You cannot reuse them. They don't have a hole for this size. They actually just have a hole for this size. So that worked out perfect. But yeah, really happy. I'm going to finish doing my adjustments here, and then we'll get this on the bike. We'll get our pivot pins all greased up and everything reassembled. How good does that look? So now what we have to do is put our banjo bolt on with a crush washer on each side and our crossover line for the front to rear cylinders. Banjo bolt is on with the crush washers. Everything went on really good. The crossover hard line went on completely fine. Now that you have this on, you can rotate this till you see your adjustment. Hold on. Right there. You can even see the arrow. What you do is you take your flathead and you rotate this out. Okay, what you want to do is you want it to rotate till it actually hits the drum. And right there, no more. I can feel it have resistance. That means my shoe is actually hitting the outside of my drum. So what I like to do is get about 3 to 4 rotations back, and now move again. Top and bottom, you need to do both, same exact method, and that's how you do a quick adjustment to get it ready for then bleeding and then doing a rod. You'll have to adjust it again because these shoes are going to seat. So you might knock a little rust off in the drum if you have it. It's just a quick adjustment to get it 90% there. So overall, this is done. I would give yourself about maybe 3 to 4 hours to do this complete project, including wheel bearings. If you have this apart, do the wheel bearings. You're already there. For the knuckles, when you put them back on, this nut right here has no adjustment, so you impact it on, or not insanely tight, but you know, good rugga-duggas. Then fold your tab down on it. Up top is where your adjustment is. Right here, you adjust this. Just use a ratchet until you feel a little bit of resistance. Okay, left to right, make sure it's feeling smooth, and then while holding your Allen key, put a wrench and tighten up this lock nut right here. That way, you know that everything is nice and tight and will have no free play. Not a bad job at all. Highly recommend doing. If this video helps, please smash that like button. Always appreciate it. And I will see y'all next time.